You know, when you're talking about casting skills, one of the most important elements is to know when to use, not only when to use a certain lure, but as far as the cast goes, how to present different types of baits. Now, almost any lure you pick up can be divided into one of two different categories. A moving bait, which is a bait that its real attracting qualities and triggering qualities happen after you cast it out and you're retrieving the lure back to you. And the lure is very appealing to the fish for a great percentage of the cast. Well, another type of lures are what I call slow moving baits, and these would include your pig and jig, like what I've got here, this booyah jig, or a plastic worm, a plastic crawdad. And these baits are slow baits that you're not so much retrieving, and a lot of times you'll find that the bass will hit these particular lures on the fall. And what I want to demonstrate to you real quickly is we're going to use the same tree, but I want to show you how I'm going to make a different presentation for each of these types of lures. When I'm fishing a slow moving bait, a bait that its main attractive qualities are when the lure falls, I want to concentrate my efforts on making that cast right directly to the piece of cover. I want as light a splash as I can possibly get, but since the fish usually hit this bait on the fall, I don't want to waste a lot of time making a cast. I don't want to cast the jig way out there and then eventually work it back to this tree. What I want to do is I want to cast this jig right at the target and let it fall tantalizingly and around those little pieces of cover. And I want to be very efficient. I'm going to work each piece of cover separately, but the only thing I really want to work here is that piece of cover. And again, doing this makes you a smarter fisherman. Now, by contrast, when I'm fishing a spinnerbait, usually fish don't hit a spinnerbait on the fall, so I don't want to throw it right at the tree. What makes a spinnerbait good is the fact that those blades begin to spin and it produces vibration and it has a lot of flash to it. But those qualities don't come into play until the bait has been in motion for a few feet. So I always want to cast a moving bait like a spinnerbait or a crankbait past the target, and then I want to reel it past it, okay? So that when that bait comes by that target, all the qualities that make it productive are in full swing and in full motion. That's what makes a spinnerbait good. So your rule of thumb here to remember is when you're fishing a slow moving bait, pitch directly at the piece of cover. When you're using a moving bait, pitch past the piece of cover and work your bait around that log.